Hello and a very warm welcome to Middle East Matters. I'm Thomas Waterhouse. Coming up for you in this week's programme. We take you inside Jarablus, a Syrian city where Turkey is helping residents rebuild their lives after years of Islamic State group rule. Our team has also been to Iraq to film alongside the Shiite militias hoping to push the jihadists on the northern Kurdish region. And pinning their hopes for peace on the pine needles, we look at how one Christmas tree in Damascus has become the focal point for war-torn Syrians. But first, we're taking you to northern Syria and to the town of Jarablus. For the past 12 months, locals there have been rebuilding their lives after their community was freed from the grasp of the Islamic State group. That liberation was made possible thanks to authorities over the border in Turkey, who, as you'll see in this next film, are still playing a massive role in the town's reconstruction. Fatma, Kizilboga and Hussein Asad report.
This line of trucks grows a little longer every day, now stretching several kilometers along the border between Turkey and Syria. The trucks carry goods that Ankara allows to be transported to areas controlled by the Free Syrian Army Brigades, who benefit from its support. These drivers are not the only ones crossing the border. According to the Turkish authorities, an average of 200 refugees return to Syria each day. This is a one-way ticket home. They will not be allowed back into Turkey.
It's time to go back now. We've spent the past 5 years here in Turkey and we miss our family, our people. So this is why we're heading back to Syria, to Jarablus.
Jarablus, a city backed by the Turkish border, was retaken last year from the hands of the Islamic State organization. Since then, the city has changed dramatically. Its reconstruction has been led by this man, Yaşar Aksanyar. He's the person in charge of coordinating the aid sent by Turkey. The Syrians call him governor, like the days of the former Ottoman Empire.
9 districts are located within our security zone, under our protection. 1.5 million people are living there in peace and comfort.
Security in the city centre is entrusted to the new police force, made up of former opposition rebels. 600 men, trained and equipped by the Turkish army, are now responsible for policing the population. This support is far from limited to military matters. In Jarablus, even the fire trucks come from Turkey. The Turkish post has opened an office. An ATM has been installed, although it is not working yet. But after years under the tyranny of Daesh, everyone's attention is focused on the new courthouse. The judge offers us a tour, and we understand very quickly that certain subjects remain taboo.
الأمور الأمنية لا تتطرق كثير. buyurun. Bizim savcımız Firas Muhammed, Jarablus'un savcısı.
A former lawyer at the Aleppo bar and a member of the Turkmen minority, he was promoted after the arrival of the Turks in the region.
In the end, we are the ones who decide. If that is what you imply, the decisions go back to the Syrian judges. But it's true that the Turks support us and advise us, because state bodies here had been destroyed. Thank God Turkey is a great country and helps us not only from a logistic point of view, but also by providing us with legal advice.
The children are back at their school, renovated by Ankara, and dedicated to the memory of the victims of the coup attempt in Turkey. The syllabus has also been modified. While French was traditionally taught as a second foreign language, it has been replaced by Turkish. It is impossible to escape the influence of Turkey. The only hospital in the city was built by Ankara, and the patients are greeted by a portrait of President Erdogan, acclaimed here as a hero.
He's done more things for Syria than anyone else. What have the Arab countries done for us? Nothing.
Officially, Erdogan promises that his army will remain in this border region of Turkey as long as necessary in order to maintain order and security. Ankara intends to have a say in the reconstruction of Syria, which has already begun, at least in this part of the country.
We're heading over the border now to Iraq. After the fall of Mosul, more and more towns and villages have been recaptured from the hands of the Islamic State group as the organisation's caliphate crumbled. The Iraqi Prime Minister has already announced that the jihadists have been pushed out of the country after a massive 3-year operation. Our team has been to film alongside the Shiite militias who've been fighting the militants in Iraqi Kurdistan.
After 3 years of war, the liberation of Iraq is finally within sight. But members of this Shiite militia still need to fight one last battle against Islamic State militants.
This side is Syria, and over there, that's Iraq.
The elite battalion is part of a Shiite paramilitary group. These militiamen were sent to the front lines to secure the road and clear out the last pockets of jihadist resistance. It only takes a slightly suspicious movement in the distance for the bullets to start flying. A skirmish in the middle of the desert against an invisible enemy as the jihadists quickly flee to the other side of the border.
See it for yourselves. We Iraqis will keep going until the Islamic State group is exterminated.
These fighters are all volunteers and are involved since 2014 in a bloody war against the Islamic State organization. And as the end of the conflict draws near, some are already starting to celebrate.
Thanks to God, we proved again today that we are able to defend Iraq against its enemies. But not just Iraq. By stopping the Islamic State group, we're also getting rid of the threat for you, the French, and for all of humanity at large.
Around 140,000 Shiite militiamen are still fighting in Iraq, hoping to secure a 400-kilometer strip of land along the Syrian border.
In Syria this holiday season, there might not be much to celebrate with the country's civil war showing no sign of easing. But there's one beacon of Yuletide cheer to be found in a Damascus cafe. The owner there has put up a Christmas tree and has asked locals to decorate it with messages of hope for the new year.
On a Christmas tree at the Café Syria, baubles and tinsel have been replaced by colourful squares of paper. On each, there's a handwritten wish for the year ahead. In a country that's been ravaged by civil war for almost 7 years, it's no surprise that many are about hopes for peace.
I just want all my friends and loved ones who've fled overseas to come home, because day after day, people I know are leaving one after the other. Every day we lose friends and relatives.
People are beginning to wish to return to their homes safely and without any injuries. They wish to settle in their homes and not to be forced to leave for whatever reason, along with all of their family members.
This hope tree has become a Christmas tradition at the cafe. Each year, the owner, Bernard, decks out the room with Christmas decorations and hauls in the tree to create a little festive spirit. His goodwill idea has gone down well with Syrians from across the country and from those overseas.
People's wishes are all about travel, postponing their military service, as well as their hopes for this war to end. People abroad hope to return, and those inside the country wish that they could be free to travel.
Since the start of the conflict, over 340,000 people have lost their lives, and 5 million Syrians have fled their homeland. On the 6th of December, Moscow announced that the country had been liberated from the Islamic State group. But despite the fact that Russians have helped government forces win back territory, the jihadists still control several pockets of Syrian soil. The war rages on, most recently around Damascus, the stronghold of President Asad.
And finally to Egypt and to a literary project in Cairo that's hoping to turn the city's residents into bookworms. Tiny cupboards have been installed on the capital's streets, filled with a range of reading material. They're left unlocked and unmonitored, meaning that the general public can come and browse and flick through the selection whenever they want to. Titled Place a Book, Take a Book, the idea behind the sharing scheme is to improve literacy and spread culture. Let's listen now to the project's director.
The Egyptian public owns millions of books, but they're put on shelves or in warehouses. The project consists of 8 libraries. This is the second month for the project, and we already see positive results.
That's it for this edition of Middle East Matters. Don't forget you can catch up with our latest news on Facebook and on Twitter. Until next time, do stay with us here on France 24.